of my colleague Jerome Paul, it's going to be a great year and it's going to be a great week. I mean, we are already on a Wednesday, yet Monday was just like 5 minutes away. So my friends and colleagues who normally complain about the 90 days of January, maybe this is going to be a better month and a better year. And this year is actually a leap year. So if you were born on February 29th, this year you will have a chance to celebrate your birthday and then wait 5 years before you can do that again. My name is Olive Monica Najima. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm joined by Chantal Oliver Kandinda, Jerome Paul Sonko, and Chirabo Robert Nyonyintono. Now, the president addressed the nation yesterday, and among the things the president said was that government is hell-bent on putting the ADF rebels down completely, like erasing them off the face of the earth, and I am here for it. Government has been doing everything possible to ensure that they maintain the security and safety of all Ugandans, and the president even warned external actors from giving assistance to ADF rebels so that they can cause havoc into our country. I believe that that is the best message to start the year, and of course, as a Ugandan, I know that I am in safe hands because government is doing everything humanly possible to ensure that you and I and everyone else are safe. Well, with that being said, I would like to know if Jerome Paul Sonko thinks or believes that he is safe.
Well, I believe I'm safe, and when the president did highlight that the government is going to take on all different corners of preventing the country from such attacks, not only the ADF, but of course in the picture here, the ADF, which has actually been posing a very huge threat to the country. I would definitely say, as a Ugandan who has lived for the time where Uganda has been able to safeguard its citizens from different rebel groups, this is a time when the president comes in, which I ideally looked at as his first address since the 2024 calendar year kicked off, or what I could say is first national address on matters to do with security. And it gives a very huge time or a very huge vote of confidence for those who are also coming into the country ahead of the NAM and G77 summits, and as well as for the Ugandans who are ideally in the moods of a new year. But nonetheless, I feel safe.
That is a good way to start the year and the week, and that address honestly made everyone, I think everyone now believes that the government is doing its whatever possible to make sure that we maintain the security that we have enjoyed for quite a long time. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning, Olive. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am very well. Yeah, today I'm very well.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, today I'm very well and well. Thank you to our viewers for joining us this morning. Welcome to the show. NAM is getting closer, and that is next week on Monday. So brace yourself, because some delegates are already in town, and others, of course, will be coming in throughout the course of the week and the weekend. So whatever you do, please take care of yourself, and if you can, try to avoid the traffic and everything that happens around when we have these functions taking place. But I mean, they are guests, so let's be on our best behavior as well.
Thank you, Chantal. Now, regarding the comments made by the president about taking out ADF rebels like one by one until all of them are either in custody or off the face of the earth, I would like to hear your thoughts on that, especially the part where Ugandans are actually asked to be vigilant and report people that are, suspicious in their community.
Well, guess what, Olive? The truth is, our security bodies, the number of Ugandans, say the civilians, are way more than the number of the security bodies and security officers that we have. So what does that mean? We help each other in this case. So let's be vigilant, yes, as we help the security bodies and do the reports. I believe it's for a good cause. If someone is terrorizing your neighbor or even your relatives, I think it's best that person is reported or actually identified. So I do agree with the president. We need to be vigilant. The police cannot be everywhere. Any other security body cannot be everywhere. So it's upon us to first of all protect ourselves and our neighbors.
That's right. And speaking of neighbors, if you have a neighbor that you do not really understand, I remember last year a person that was working with the ADF rebels was arrested because the neighbors became suspicious. This person used to come home late in the night and then he would leave very early in the morning. They would never see him getting a basin to go take a shower, so they became suspicious. And when the police came in, guess what? They found devices that are used to make explosive devices. So that was, they were able to get all of that and of course arrest the person. So if you have a neighbor who you don't understand, it's never too late for you to alert the local authorities, security authorities, so that they look into it. Good morning, Mr. Shirabo.
Good morning to you and of course our viewers. Hope everybody is fine, because we are indeed fine.
That's right.
Yes. Well, you were talking about the presidential address, and more so particularly that is the ADF wiping them out. First, I want to say that Uganda is using one of the best approaches to eliminate such terror groups. How? Government, UPDF went into the jungles of Congo where they had bases and disorganized them, eliminated a number of them. Now, the challenge is those that come in the country that also sometimes our forces have been able to eliminate, and those that were recruited, cells. In security they are called cells that are within communities. Now I think this is where the president says that we need so much cooperation with security agencies, because the army government will go and hit them in the jungles, will guard our borders jealously to ensure that they don't sneak, or the few that sneak into the country are traced and eliminated. But then those that are based in communities, security may not be everywhere. So it is our vigilance that will help with cooperation from security or with security agencies to eliminate this. So that is the call for the president, that we can do this, we can eliminate this, but it takes also our responsibility and support to the systems that exist in the realm of security.
That's true. It requires collective responsibility from all of us to keep our country safe. Now, at this moment, Robert Shirabo will be taking us through some of the local stories that we have been able to gather and share with you this morning.
And I'll begin with His Excellency addressing the nation yesterday, where President Museveni vowed to take swift action to crush all allied democratic forces, rebel groups who are hiding in eastern democratic forests. In his security address from his country home in Rachtura, Museveni declared that the ADF has no chance of surviving and urged citizens to inform on any suspected associates. The president acknowledged past shortcomings in addressing the insurgency, attributing them to internal divisions worsened by local governance and religious influence. Museveni also leveled sharp criticism at external actors attempting to influence Uganda's internal affairs. He denounced their pressure as meddling in matters best handled by unified and resilient Ugandan community.
And moving on, the term of the Uganda Electoral Commission team headed by the chairperson, Justice Simon Byabakama, has expired despite the electoral roadmap beginning in July 2024. But the Electoral Commission former chairman, Justice Simon Byabakama, says the public should be patient and wait for the appointing authority to constitute a new team. Meanwhile, at the Electoral Commission offices on 7th Street Industrial Area in Kampala, the Commission spokesperson Paul Bukenya told UBC the technical team is pretended by the Commission Secretary.
And moving on, Parliament will start scrutinizing the Auditor General's report for the financial year 2022-2023, which among others revealed that 6.72 billion is lost to payment of ghost workers. Following the last 2023 validation exercise of government employees, 1,818 ghost workers were put to dent on the consolidated fund. This is notwithstanding the parish development model, where over 604 beneficiaries in various PDM circles had ineligible and non-existent projects The Auditor General, John Muwanga, also handed over the report to the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, and attributed the increase in public debt to increased government expenditure compared to the domestic revenue of the finance and the years. Speaker Anita Among welcomed the regular accountability of government funds that ensures value for money and will reduce on the appetite of borrowing. According to the Auditor General's report, the total public debt as of 30th June 2023 stood at 96.16 trillion.
And lastly, on the local scene, the National Resistance Movement has maintained the 3 backbench commissioners in the 11th Parliament to serve for another term in the Parliamentary Commission. Members of Parliament Solomon Nisilwanyi, Prosi Mbabazi and Esther Afoye-Chan have maintained their position in the commission and have been joined by the opposition representative Matthias Mpuga, recently appointed in the position by National Unity Platform Party after dropping him from the position of the leader of opposition in Parliament. Mpuga has asked Parliament to accord the new leader of opposition, Joe Senyonyi, the support to execute his new mandate. Well, that story wraps up our local news. Now Chantal Olive takes us through the international news.
Crossing over internationally, bringing you what is happening in different parts of the world, masked gunmen have broken into a live television studio in Ecuador and threatened staff. Employees were forced onto the floor during the broadcast by the public television channel TC in the city before the live feed cut. The attackers were later seen leaving the studio, reportedly with several hostages. Police have made arrests. A 60-day state of emergency began in Ecuador on Monday after a notorious gangster vanished from his prison cell. It is unclear whether the incident at the TV studio was related to the disappearance from a prison in the same city of the boss of the Chenores gang, Adolf Macias, or Fito as he is better known. In neighboring Peru, the government ordered the immediate deployment of a police force to the border to prevent any instability crossing into the country. Moving on, a panel of U.S. appeals court judges appeared deeply skeptical of Donald Trump's claim that as a former president, he should be immune from prosecution on charges that he conspired to overturn the 2020 United States election. The 77-year-old Trump attended the appeals court hearing held under tight security in a federal courthouse on Tuesday, just blocks away from the U.S. Capitol stormed by his supporters on January 6, 2021. Trump, the front-runner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, listened quietly to the slightly more than hour-long arguments before a 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals. He later addressed reporters, warning of bedlam in the U.S. if his prosecution goes ahead. Trump was impeached twice by the Democratic-controlled House of Representatives while in office, but acquitted both times by Republicans in the Senate. Is scheduled to go on trial in Washington on March 4th on charges of conspiring to overturn the 2020 election won by Democrat and current U.S. President Joe Biden. Away from that, the BBC reveals how the late megachurch leader TB Joshua, who is accused of committing sexual crimes on a mass scale, locked up his own daughter and tortured her for years before leaving her homeless on the streets of Lagos, Nigeria. My dad had fear, constant fear. He was very afraid that someone would speak up, says one of the pastor's daughters, Ajoke, the first whistleblower to reach out to the BBC about the abuse she witnessed at her father's church, the Synagogue Church of All Nations. TB Joshua, who died in 2021 at the age of 57, is accused of widespread abuse and torture spanning almost 20 years. Now aged 27, Ajoke lives in hiding and has dropped her surname Joshua. The BBC is not publishing her new name. Little is known about Ajoke's birth mother, who was believed to be one of TB Joshua's congregants. Ajoke says she was raised by Evelyn, Joshua's widow, from as early as she can remember. Now, speaking matters climate, the planet warming emissions generated during the first 2 months of the war in Gaza were greater than the annual carbon footprint of more than 20 of the world's most climate vulnerable nations, new research reveals. The vast majority, over 99% of the 281,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide estimated to have been generated in the first 60 days following the 7th October Hamas attack, can be attributed to Israel's aerial bombardment and ground invasion of Gaza, according to a first-of-its-kind analysis by researchers in the UK and US. According to the study, which is based on only a handful of carbon-intensive activities and is therefore probably a significant underestimate, the climate cost of the first 60 days of Israel's military response was equivalent to burning at least 150,000 tons of coal. The analysis, which is yet to be peer-reviewed, includes carbon dioxide from aircraft emissions, tanks and fuel from other vehicles, as well as emissions generated by making and exploding the bombs, artillery and rockets. It does not include other planet-warming gases such as methane. Almost half of the total carbon dioxide emissions were down to the U.S. cargo planes flying military supplies to Israel. Well, that is it for climate news and also happening in other parts across the world.
Thank you so much, Chantal. Jerome Paul, I'm curious to know what is on top of the newspapers this morning.
Well, from our press review this morning, we start off with the New Vision, which is headlining government is to delete 10,000 from payroll, over 53 billion shillings paid in irregular salaries, according to a new Auditor General report. Then the ADF abductees narrate ordeal. Read about those particular ones within the New Vision today. Now also pictorial of the new leader of opposition in Parliament, together with the Right Honourable Speaker to Parliament as well at the front of today's New Vision. Then in the Katanga murder, police to record widow's statement from the hospital bed. Then in politics, DP NRM in talks on joint presidential candidate. That is within the political part of it. Then in the polls, Chagulanyi declares 2026 presidential bid. Read about that in today's New Vision. We now cross the borders to Kenya with the Daily Nation, where the KCSE 2023 Embu Day School sends 49 of its 79 candidates to university in exams fit. The small schools that fell giants is the headline with the Daily Nation today. Now the NHC on the spot over 3.2 billion Kenyan shillings unsold houses. That is with the Daily Nation today as well. Then furthermore, Ruto renews feud with judiciary over projects. The Kenyan president vows he will deal with corrupt judges. That and more is with the Daily Nation today. Now speeding to blame for crash that claimed 15, says the eyewitnesses. Then also in the other news, members of parliament in threat to impeach Ndugu over the CDF delays. Then in the health perspective, still with the Daily Nation, in Kenya, 6 students stuck in India as Edu Afya cover dries up. And then also you can read about when technology failed exams agency yet again. Another review from Kenya's education sector. And that is what we've gathered for you from our press review this morning.
Thank you, Jerome Paul. Now, there is a story that is making rounds after a media house published, that is the BBC, published an investigative piece on the fallen pastor for Synagogue Church of All Nations, that is TB Joshua. And Chantal has shared a story where his daughter says that she was tortured and tormented for years. Now, more details on this story. The daughter says that she was one day dismissed from school and for this misdemeanor, and a journalist wrote about her as TB Joshua's illegitimate child. She was then pulled out of school and made to be a disciple. Now, if you've heard about the disciples at the Synagogue Church of All Nations in Nigeria, these ones were an elite group of people that were living under strict rules, where apparently they were not even allowed to sleep for more than 4 hours a day. But overall, what do you think about these revelations that come out about men of God?
First of all, on my side, I believe it's kind of a cult that we are looking at in this, in this kind of evangelism, if I'm to put it in that way. Because when you look at the kind of breakdowns that most of the people have been giving in relation to what happened, most of the women that were actually revealing that they were forcefully recruited, others sexually tortured or harassed, raped, others pregnanted. In fact, the others were actually revealing that they had numerous abortions, and all of this at the expense of a man of God. Now, when you look at such cases coming in from church, and it's not the first case we are looking at where most of the disciples, or let's say the sheep of different pastors or men of God, are coming out to reveal that the men of God have a dark side of theirs, which again undermines the Christian faith, if you're to put it in that way. Because then who will the people trust if at all the men of God who are supposed to show direction are the same people who are leading them into the kind of temptation that they pray against?
It is really saddening. And still going back to the daughter, she was made a disciple at the age of 7, and at some point when she wet the bed, he apparently asked everyone within the elite group to beat her, and she even walked around for days with a placard saying, "I'm a bed wetter," and he allowed everyone in the dormitory to just slap her. Chirabo, I know you're a believer, and you and I and most of us here, we are believers, and I think for you, you come from a place where there are even pastors. So what emotions does this reveal evoke in you?
Well, first, the Bible is very clear that you will know them by their fruits. Now, that means their actions are what you look at and know that these are true disciples or followers of Jesus Christ or not. But also the Bible says, not everyone who calls my name actually is mine. And we are warned that these things will happen more so in the last days. We shall have false prophets, we shall have false pastors, we shall have... But one thing we must learn is that most of these people cling to power very fast. They rub shoulders with strong men, and these are covered. It is only when they are gone that these can come up. Have you noticed that most powerful pastors are connected to strong people in their governments?
True.
All over the world, even if it's in the US, these people gain a lot of power that they can cover all the mess they are doing. But I just want to urge people, you see, the Bible is not a hard book to read. If you read the Bible and you understand it very well, you can easily know that this is wrong and move away from it. You will know them by their fruits. But also, to leaders, sometimes when you protect the wrong, at the end of that, it catches up with you.
I agree.
There is something called power and authority, and there are some areas that wield such power. So when you talk about religion wields a certain responsibility, a certain authority, just like politics and many other elements of life. So in this case, the abuse of the authority and power these people have, it's because they are ignorant of what they should be doing it with. So I think it's upon us as individuals to we really see between what is wrong and what is right. I understand the part of being brainwashed, and actually that part I choose to call it if mental violence actually exists. Yes, mental violence, and that is where we have a challenge. That people are mentally abused to a point where they start to believe these people, and they end up in places they shouldn't. Best believe those people knew that they had to be out of those places, but they didn't know how to get out of there. So we need to get back down to assessing the places we go to, the people we listen to. The mind is very strong, and as long as someone has control over your mind, they have control over every aspect of your life.
And all battles happen in your mind. So what are you consuming? What are you listening to? Who are you talking to? Those are the people that are going to influence some of the decisions that you make. So I hope that today you make better decisions and not be lost. Go to God yourself. Read the Bible yourself, because God has given us an open door where we can get to know him on an individual level without other people influencing us. Well, leaving you with a song, Never Lost by CC Winans. I hope you don't get lost today. And it is Wednesday the 10th of January 2024. This month seems to be a great one, and if I may borrow from the words of my colleague Jerome Paul, it's going to be a great year and it's going to be a great week. I mean, we are already on a Wednesday, yet Monday was just like 5 minutes away. So my friends and colleagues who normally complain about the 90 days of January, maybe this is going to be a better month and a better year. And this year is actually a leap year. So if you were born on February 29th, this year you will have a chance to celebrate your birthday and then wait 5 years before you can do that again. My name is Olive Monica Najima. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm joined by Chantal Oliver Kandinda, Jerome Paul Sonko, And it is Wednesday, the 10th of January 2024. This month seems to be a great one, and if I may borrow from the words of my colleague Jerome Paul, it's going to be a great year and it's going to be a great week. I mean, we are already on a Wednesday, yet Monday was just like 5 minutes away. So my friends and colleagues who normally complain about the 90 days of January, maybe this is going to be a better month and a better year. And this year is actually a leap year. So if you were born on February 29th, this year you will have a chance to celebrate your birthday and then wait 5 years before you can do that again. My name is Olive Monica Najima. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm joined by Chantal Oliver Kandinda, Jerome Paul Sonko.
our neighboring countries like Rwanda, Kenya, their attractions are not so unique like the ones we have in the country, but their numbers are overwhelming. Actually, sometime in Kenya, it was almost like mass tourism. National parks are always having traffic to this to see these games, but in Uganda, why is it not like that? But for this time, for the first time, we had traffic in the national parks. The photos that we are taken during the festive season in Chibali National Park, in Makshon Falls, Budongo Forest, like, they were amazing. Numbers of tourists were hitting the park, and this is nice because you see it increases even on the revenues for the park, which helps in the maintenance of the park, also paying the game rangers and all the workers in the park, but it also improves on the local economy. Like, that means that more people are getting more jobs, the driver guides, the tourist guides, the rangers are getting more busy, hoteliers are getting more busy. Like, but it also creates more awareness about conservation. When people get to these parks and they get to see what beauty is in the parks, they will get to know the responsibility, or they take on the responsibility for them to conserve the beauty that dwells in these national parks. So it was amazing. We just have to keep on marketing Destination Uganda. Every time you go somewhere, just take that beautiful photo. Use your smartphone to take those beautiful captions and share on all your social medias so that we can increase on the flow of the tourists in our national parks, but also other destinations. That was it we had for the travel news. And right now we take you through the attraction that we're going to talk about today. And it is also a primate. The whole week we've been taking you through primates, and we are just giving you a whole snip of a primate safari in Uganda. And today we take you through the golden monkeys of Mugahinga National Park. Okay, these golden monkeys are amazing, and one thing that you should know is that they are only found in the Virunga Massif. I told you the Virunga Massif is these are 7 mountains that are shared between 3 countries, that is Uganda, Rwanda, and DRC. And now these golden monkeys are amazing to watch because they are true to their name. Like, their golden fur just makes it true to their name. You find they have the golden orange fur that makes it just visually beautiful to the eyes. Like, just watching them, they're just beautiful to your eyes. But also they are also endangered to the Virunga Mountains. Like, you cannot find them anywhere else in the world. So if you want to see them, you have to visit Mugahinga National Park, and also other parks that are in the Virunga Massif. Their social structure is also golds. Like, if people were living just like the golden monkeys live, they live in groups of 60 to 100 individuals, and they work together, they play together, like, they feed each other. It is amazing just to watch them just carry on their normal lives. And if you want to do golden monkey trekking in Mugahinga, it is very simple. For East Africans, the permit costs only 40,000 Uganda shillings, and for the international tourists, it is $60. So it is that cheap for you to engage and see the golden monkeys carry on their normal lives. You need to move through the mountains, the forest, to meet these golden monkeys. Like, just to watch them, it is very beautiful. And you can watch them in Mugahinga National Park in Uganda, Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda, Virunga National Park, and Kahus Biega in DRC. That is it that we had for you about the attraction today. And I take you through that travel tip that we have for today. It is still quite simple for you to remember as you're packing or as you're planning for your trip around Uganda, and that is explore off the peak. Like, try to see that you travel during the low seasons, and because during the high season, the fact that hotels are always overbooked, you find that the rates go high. You find so large numbers, but when you go into the low season, you get discounts on hotels, destinations, and even activities. So try ever to travel off the peak. Thank you so much. I'm Irene Alena Misang, and catch you tomorrow.
Good morning and many thanks for sticking around to Good Morning Uganda. It's time for the GMU business updates of this morning, and of course away from the Tourism Express with Alan this morning. Now, looking into the auditor's report, Parliament will start scrutinizing the Auditor General's report for the last financial year 2022-2023, which among others reveals that 6.72 billion Ugandan shillings is lost to payment of ghost employees. Earlier on today in the morning with our press review, it's still morning time anyway, with our press review we did one of the headlines on the New Vision front page revealed that government is set to crack down on the ghost employees, or is set to go back to the issue of making some changes on how much salary is being taken by ghost employees. Now, looking at the last 2023 validation exercise of government employees, 1,818 ghost workers put a dent on the consolidated fund, according to the findings. Now, this is notwithstanding the parish development model, where over 604 beneficiaries in various PDM circles had ineligible and non-existent projects. When you look at some of the projects that the government has actually been able to push out, in most scenarios we've been seeing ghost accounts, or let's say money heading into ghost accounts. And by ghost accounts, it means that there is no specific individual receiving that money, but it's rather a specific account by maybe a group of individuals who want to swindle government money, but using a given account as accountability. But looking at it in the other way as well, the Auditor General John Mwanga handed over the report to the Speaker of Parliament, that was yesterday, to the Speaker of Parliament, and attributed the increase in public debt to the increased government expenditure compared to the domestic revenue to finance the fiscal deficit. At the start of the financial year, by the way, 2024, we were told by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development that the government wants to reduce on the expenditures. And of course, we as well saw some budget cuts as well. Not only that, there was limitations on travel. This was to make sure that the government does not overspend on things that can definitely stretch our budget as a country. And when you look at the Auditor General's report as well, looking deeper, it does show that there is an increase in public debt due to the increased government expenditure, so which clearly shows that the government expenditure is yet to decrease, and this is affecting the particular economy of our country. And not only that though, because when you look at it in the other way, the domestic revenue that we have, or that we collect, or that the Uganda Revenue Authority is able to collect at the end of every financial year, is not enough to finance the kind of expenditure we do have as a country. Now, the Speaker, Anita Among, welcomed the regular accountability of the government that ensures value for money and will reduce the appetite of borrowing. And according to the Auditor General's report, the total public debt as of 30th June 2023 stood at 96.16 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now, that's a very huge one because when you look at the public debt that we did have at the start of the financial year 2023-2024, our major worry was to see what was not seeing it head to 96 trillion. Surprisingly, it is heading. Just 2 years back, we were at around 86.1 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now that's a 10 trillion shillings increase in the same regard. So that is where the worry is. But of course, he did mention, still in the Auditor General's report, that one of the biggest issues as to why we are having this increase is because of the increased government expenditure, and yet the revenue that we have as a country does not meet that particular expense that we are making. Now, furthermore, with our business news this morning, let's talk vanilla farming, as the vanilla farmers in Rubirizi district have decried lack of market for their produce, leaving them in panic of encountering losses. Now, although vanilla prices have come down, those who have harvested are stranded with sacks of vanilla after failing to get buyers. for their produce. Now, vanilla farmers in Rubirizi district stranded with these sacks after the potential buyers failing to buy. Their leaders have failed to advocate for the local farmers and appeal to government for support to ensure that government gets for them market away from the country. Now, the chairperson, Local Council 3, Katanda Sub-County, Adanaitwe Anatori, requested government to construct a carrying plant that would help vanilla to remain in good state as they wait for good markets in the future, or the carrying plant will be able to be or to serve as a storage facility for the vanilla produce that has already been invested. Now, many cases have also been reported to office, which is affecting vanilla farmers, and they wait to see how best the government will help and assist in such tough situations. As the year's just gotten started, by the way, we only have 2 weeks so far that we are trolling in the year of 2024. Lastly, from our business updates this morning, let's look at the forex market to see how different currencies are faring as you're heading out to exchange some currencies. Now, at the start of Tuesday, the US dollar was buying at 3,803.38 while selling at 3,813.38. Then by midday, the US dollar was buying at 3,796.71 shillings while selling at 3,806.71 shillings as well. Looking further at the closing time, the US dollar was buying at 3,795.00 shillings while selling at 3,805.00 shillings. Let's look at the Great Britain pound though. Buying was at 4,836.34 shillings while selling was at 4,849.09 shillings. Then we look at the euro, 4,155.52 shillings while selling at 4,166.47 shillings, and rather it's 4,166.47 shillings. Then the Kenyan shilling was buying at 24.01 shillings while selling at 24.08 shillings. The Tanzanian shilling, on the other hand, was buying at 1.51 shillings while selling at 1.51 shillings as well. And then the South African rand was buying at 203.77 shillings while selling at 204.31 shillings. And that is how you will definitely find the forex market if you're moving out to exchange some currencies. We do have many who are flying out of the country as well as those who are just flying into the country. So that is how you will definitely find the forex bureau's rates. That is according to the Bank of Uganda currency rating. But well, that is it for our business updates this morning. I'll be back tomorrow morning to give you more from the business perspective in the country and across the African continent. And coming up shortly now is the traffic updates with Olive Monica Nanjuma. Stick around.
Well, good morning. Thank you for keeping with us here on Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. You're still watching Good Morning Uganda. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I'm here to give you some updates regarding traffic as of this morning. Now, if you're coming from the road that is Chureka or Ginger Road, if I may say that, then we are going to look at how traffic is as of this morning in the areas of Chureka. And starting from the area where there is an intersection that joins Namgongo Road and Kamuli Road to Chureka, as you can see on your screen, there are orange zones in this part. This is basically the heart of Chureka, and in most cases this is where you're going to find the most intense traffic in this area. But as of this morning, the traffic situation is still good to a degree. I see some orange and red zones, but for now at least you can be able to move without wasting a lot of time in this area. But if you delay, I'm afraid the situation could have changed within no time. Now, for people coming in from Namgongo Road to join Chireka, it is mostly green, so there is smooth flow of traffic, as you can see over there. And for those coming through from Kamuli Road, it is also smooth flow of traffic in the area. Now, as these two roads connect to the main road, that's where you're going to encounter a little bit of traffic that could delay you for a bit of time. I'm looking at other surrounding roads like Chireka Road. I see orange and green zones in this area as it joins the other road of Chireka, so you won't lose much time in this section. Now, continuing ahead, it is basically smooth flow of traffic as of this minute as we head into Banda area. Now, along Banda area, especially the place that has petroleum, there you're going to encounter a bit of an orange zone, meaning the traffic has slowed, the movement has slowed down now because traffic is starting to build around this area. Now, still moving ahead, we see that or still on the main Kampala-Jinja highway around the areas of Banda, it is still a smooth flow of traffic for the biggest part. Then we also launch into some orange zones over there, and as we continue ahead, now we keep interchanging from orange zones to green zones. So in some places there is smooth flow of traffic, and in others there is a bit of a slowdown because of traffic trying to build in these areas. Chambogo Road looks green as it joins the Kampala-Jinja highway. And continuing ahead, I'm glad to announce that this morning it really looks good on Jinja Road. Now, when we reach the intersection that it takes you to either Ntinda or Mbuya, this is where we experience a bit of traffic jam coming through from Ntinda Stretcher Road, as you can see. But actually the biggest part of the Stretcher Road is green, which indicates smooth flow of traffic coming from the areas of Ntinda. But as it joins that intersection at Spear Motors, there you're going to encounter a little bit of traffic, so it might slow you down. And if you're heading to the areas of if you're heading to the areas of Mbuya, there you might be slowed down a bit, but as you continue to Chinawataka Road, there is smooth flow of traffic in case that is the area you're headed to. Now, going back to Jinja Road, Kampala-Jinja Highway, there is a smooth flow of traffic here, and going all through Nakawa, I see that you won't be held up for so long, except for a little bit of traffic around the Lugogo bypass, the intersection that has traffic lights that may hold you up for a few minutes. Now, for people coming in from 3rd Street, I see traffic jam coming through both from Jinja Road Highway and 3rd Street, and that may hold you up for about 5 minutes. It's not that intense. And as you continue ahead, still 1st Street feeds some bit of traffic jam into the main Jinja Road Highway. But when we reach the Jinja Road roundabout, you're only going to experience traffic jam around the area that comes from Old Port Bell Road. I see a bit of traffic coming in through from Old Port Bell Road, joining the Jinja Road roundabout. And there's a few orange zones here. Wampewa Avenue looks pretty clean. There is smooth flow of traffic over there. And continuing ahead, I see a bit of traffic going to Yusuf Lule Road, actually coming from Yusuf Lule Road as you cross through to go to the areas of Mukwano Road. And of course, I see a bit of traffic still coming through from Mukwano Road, joining Jinja Road. So here you might lose a few minutes. Unfortunately, if sometimes when there are traffic officers, these two lanes are ignored for a bit, and you can find yourself delaying in this area for quite some time. Yet if the lights were left to do their job, I think you wouldn't lose so much time. But moving ahead on Jinja Road, I see a few orange zones here and there. The area around Victoria University has some bit of an orange zone that indicates traffic that is starting to build up. And of course, Parliamentary Avenue looks good, but as Kampala Road, that road that goes off Kampala Road to join Parliamentary Avenue, is feeding a bit of traffic traffic jam into both roads, as you can see. But continuing ahead along Kampala Road, for the most part, especially the intersection that takes you to Entebbe Road, it is a smooth flow of traffic, a little bit of traffic around Aristoc Bookshop, but when you continue ahead, you're still going to encounter a bit of traffic jam, especially around Kampala Boulevard. This area has a bit of traffic jam because of the roads that join Kampala Road around this zone. Shimon Road looks pretty fine, and the square one is also looking okay. There is smooth flow of traffic there. Nakasero Road has a bit of an orange zone if that's where you're headed, but it's mainly because of the roundabout near Speak Road. That's what will cause you to delay. Kampala Road has intense orange zones because of these roads that join it, like Benchwanka Street where it joins William Street, and then Button Street where it joins Kampala Road. Some of these are feeding traffic jam into the main Kampala Road. But overall, the traffic situation in the center of the city, or the heart of the city, doesn't look bad at all. So if you're moving right now, you should be able to get to your final destination in record time without wasting so much time on the road. And with that, we close our traffic updates. We will be back tomorrow to give you more regarding the same. My name is Olive Monica Najuma.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Membership growth. Since its establishment in 1961, with 25 member countries, the non-aligned movement has witnessed consistent growth, now encompassing over 122 nations. This expansion underscores NAM's enduring appeal, attracting a diverse array of countries seeking to maintain a non-aligned stance. Over the decades, the movement has evolved into a global forum, providing smaller and newly independent nations a collective platform on the international stage.
So this is my general perception. One, that this project entered in strategic areas of government, but that it has created a base for the now last mile strategy, which is the Paris development model. And therefore this base that it has left will help us actually, and I'm sure we'll get better results in actual area and Ajumani when we are implementing the Paris development model.
The non-aligned movement played a pivotal role in the decolonization process during the 1960s and 1970s. As former colonies gained independence, the non-aligned movement provided crucial support, both diplomatically and politically, to these newly sovereign nations. The movement's stance against colonialism aligned with aspirations of countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 2350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Disarmament advocacy. The non-aligned movement's advocacy for disarmament, particularly its opposition to nuclear weapons, gained prominence during the critical moments, such as the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. The movement's commitment to a world free of nuclear threats underscores its dedication to global peace and security. Economic focus. In response to the era of economic globalization, the non-aligned movement has expanded its focus beyond political ideals to advocate for a more equitable international economic order. The movement recognizes the need for economic cooperation and development initiatives that benefit all member states, particularly those in the developing world.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, and thank you so much for being part of this show right from 6:30. We do appreciate you as those that opened the day with us as we kick-started the morning with you on UBC TV. Don't forget to always make the date with us. We are here from 6:30 with Good Morning Uganda, the four, and of course the mighty team behind the cameras and the technical wing. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyitono, and welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda, where we have guests or a guest and we discuss issues of national concern. Now we know that the country is set for the function for the summit that will be starting Monday. That is the NAM, the Non-Allied Movement, and the G77 Plus summit that will be at Peak Resort Munyonyo. However, this comes with numerous opportunities, much as there is the political leadership that will be discussing a lot of issues on the political realm, but also the world is run by money or business and economics matter. And greatly, the private sector is the rail that drives great economies in the world. Now, with NAM present with us here, the Private Sector Foundation Uganda, with government, have organized, that is the Africa Investment Forum and Trade Exhibition. This will start on Monday next week and it will run till Wednesday. Now, it is running alongside NAM. As we have the political leadership, remember, like I told you, countries are built on economies. It is business, private sector being key. And I'm honored to have the person I really believe he's among the organizers of this great exhibition that will be running at Serena Kampala Hotel, and that is none other than the Chief Executive Officer of Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Stephen Asimo. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Robert, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Well, how are things been running? Private sector, yes, we concluded 2023. What year was it to you? Even before we dive into the actual issue we're going to be discussing today.
2023 was a very interesting year because it was the year that followed the COVID-19 pandemic. So clearly, the country was just coming out of intensive care. You know, a patient at the very worst is in intensive care, then you go to high dependence, and doctors have something called close observation. So the economy started to pick up slowly, but it also had its victims on the way. A lot of businesses collapsed, others changed in nature, but we started to see a shift in growth positively. And of course, there were those bad incidents in tourism. You remember we had people being shot. And then that law in Parliament, which led to a lot of cancellations on our part. But over and above that, we saw a growth in investment. We saw a growth in trade. From the private sector side, we did a lot of training, a lot of capacity building, a lot of projects that we initiated with the women, with the youth. But more importantly, we started to assert ourselves at the regional level, at the East African Business Council. We started to push for bigger markets, more advocacy, more policy, largely to support the business environment. Our work at PSFU is largely to do about 4 things. 1 is policy and advocacy. 2 is to ensure that our business people have markets, but also the skills and capacity to take advantage of those. We worked closely with government to ensure that we push for value addition, which means more money for our business people, more markets, more accessibility, those things that impede business, what are known as non-tariff barriers. But for me, I think the biggest score was the fact that we were able to influence 78% of the national budget. And for us, that was a big tick. We hope that the next coming years, we should be able to influence about 90% of the national budget. But we're also very lucky that nature was with us. We had lots of rains, which means that we'll have bumper harvests. But now, very, very importantly, is we have 2 big summits taking place in Kampala, and the business people have decided to assert themselves to ensure that we take advantage of the sideline meetings. Yeah.
Now, talking about this Trade Expo, we know we have NAM the other side, and of course, one good thing with the business community is you tap into every opportunity. Now, where do you stand to benefit from this sideline event along NAM?
So that's a good question. So first of all, the non-aligned movement and the G77 is probably the largest grouping after the United Nations. So the UN is in excess northwards of 180 countries. But just to paint a picture, 60% of the world's first population, but also the economy, is within those NAM and G77 grouping of people. What does that mean, Robert? It means that the people who call the shots in terms of where the policy direction for the business or economics reside in those countries. So for a long time, it's the politicians who have been meeting. And as you have seen in the earlier, I'm glad that UBC, and they've done a fantastic job, giving a precursor, sort of highlighting where the NAM and G77 have come from, have been largely political.
Yes.
Things to do with, you see, non-aligned movement means that you're not with the Americans and the West, and you're not with the then Soviets and the Eastern Bloc. So they created a body that is not aligned this way or that way. We have a middle, missing, what is known as the missing middle. So for a long time, they were discussed political issues. In the last 15 or 20 years, it's been things to do with the environment. Now we are saying it is time to discuss business. It's time to discuss business environment. And therefore, Uganda has pitched for the first time that let us have a NAM and G77 that is tailored towards bringing business people to talk to each other. To talk about what? Markets, trade, investment, finance, jobs, and opening barriers that have really been impeding. I'll give you an example. Yesterday we were at the meeting for the NAM, the preparation for the conference. And one of the ambassadors of Uganda, accredited to a certain country, said that 80% of the coffee consumed in the country where he is posted, 80% of the coffee is from a European country. But that European country actually buys the coffee from Uganda. So the discussion is, guys, send your coffee directly to us. We are willing to pay 2, 3, 4 times better money. Those are the kind of things we want to discuss. Number 2, we want to discuss issues like if the World Bank or whichever multilateral institution cuts off your aid or whatever, are there reciprocal banks or financial institutions that can take up that gap? 3, we are tired of being given orders from certain quarters, because being non-aligned means that actually we can talk to each other. So look, 60% of the world's economy are in those countries. So why do we need, we now need to start talking business. The time of politics are over. We are not aligned politically. Now we want to be aligned financially and economically. And that's the essence for the conference. But not just a conference for the sake of talking. We are going to have an exhibition where we showcase what we have. We're also going to have business-to-business meetings. We are going to have what is known as speed dating. Speed dating is putting people in a room, and you say, me, I have got 100,000 tons of coffee. I want it processed. This guy says, I have technology. Let me come and we process it together and do a joint venture so that you make more money, I also make money. So it's win-win. But 3, Robert, these guys have a lot of money. In the excess of trillions of dollars. Some of the biggest Islamic banks, OECD banks, large caches of resources that are looking for willing buyer, willing seller, good interest rates. So really those are the things that we are going to be discussing. And from the guest list, I can see that it's going to be a very, very good show for us as a country.
Now, we are having the summit at Speak Resort Munyonyo, and we are having the exhibition at Serena Kampala Hotel. Now, just create more, tell us more about how these two are going to run. Are you having the delegates from the other side coming for this exhibition, or are we having specific people that are coming particularly for the exhibition?
Good question. So it's a 2-tier discussion. So the NAM traditionally sits every 2 or 3 years, as is the G77. So that program has been going. What's different now is that we are now created a business summit alongside. So what does that mean? It means that if you have a president coming and ministers of foreign affairs, they'll talk their politics. But against that or within that scenario, we have asked for ministers of finance, ministers of investment, and other economic related agencies to attend the meetings that we have. But more than that, we are also asking the PSFUs, the chambers of commerce of those countries, to come and attend our summit. Now, if there is a position which feels the need to have a political endorsement, then it can be referred to the heads of summit. And it is working very well, because I'll give you the example. When we were in South Africa, there was a political summit taking place between Uganda and South Africa. But the biggest issue that was on the table was that Ugandans were not able to access South African markets because of visas. And that's a political discussion. So when we got a stalemate, we now referred it to the president, and immediately the president endorsed the fact that for us to improve bilateral relationships, the business is critical to, to create that enabling environment for the politics to succeed. You cannot talk about political cooperation without business cooperation. So the two are in. So yes, the politicians are talking, but their business people and the people responsible, even at political level, for the economics. So a minister of finance, the minister of trade is a person who is responsible for facilitating the environment for businesses to take place. So they will be at the table, but then there will be that cross-pollination that will take place.
Now, this being an exhibition, how is it, do we have people who are coming to showcase what Uganda is producing, to show these various opportunities? Still, I'm interested in my viewer getting that picture of what exactly is going to transpire.
Fantastic. What's going to happen is that we are going to have the summit, which is the plenary and the meetings, people making presentations at all levels: manufacturing, agriculture, finance, business, investment, the entire landscape of doing business. So you cannot talk about a business without seeing it. So we have now created a place for the exhibition and the trade fair. So we'll have what we call the smart exhibition. So a smart exhibition is where you have a booth with a TV screen, for example, but you have your materials, your papers, or caricatures of the kind of things you do. For example, Kira Motors will have a booth, for example. They'll have a booth with, you know, everything going on the slides on a screen, materials, but they'll also say, if you want to see the full bus, get outside. So we have that lower parking at Serena, which is going to be showing the hardware, the big things. And so there'll be the exhibition of the big things, but they also have a multiple space booths that have been created for there. So Ugandans have got the largest space in all areas, so manufacturing, our agriculture, agribusiness space, our IT, our bus, which is, by the way, doing serious rounds, and many, many other facets. So besides the conference, there'll be an exhibition taking place where, you know, the participants can actually come and the showgoers, if you like, the participants, the conference people. So if you make a presentation, you say, please find me out there. But also give an opportunity for the investors, potential investors, or the business people to essentially come and meet with the exhibitors. So it's a cocktail.
Okay. Yeah. Now, for the time I've known you and a private sector foundation, one of your biggest dreams is to see businesses grow, to see SMEs become mega companies. Now, with this opportunity, you talked about Kira Motors, you're talking big. I mean, where is this baby that you always dream to nurture and see mature? Because it's a huge opportunity. You know, my friends, the Juakalis, my friends, these young innovators, most of them, and it is funny but reality, most of them who are even the informal sector, to be honest, but they are members. So how do they fit in here?
That's a very brilliant question. First of all, I want to state categorically that every big company, conglomerate, name it, Mitsubishi, Honda, Microsoft, once upon a time was a micro company. So I want to assure people that whatever small company you have, one day it will become a mega company. And therefore it's important that people come and are encouraged, one, to showcase what they have. Because you know very well that Facebook started in a bedroom, that Microsoft started in a garage, but now they are the biggest companies and the owners actually are, you know, multi-billionaires. So the beauty with it is that we are going to speed date people with very good ideas. The micro, the small, the medium companies, even by Ugandan standards, the large. They'll meet bigger boys and girls, for that matter, in this space. And we are encouraging as many SMEs to come and register. If you have a good idea and it's a selling idea, this is the time to actually come into place and meet your potential partner. But also, it's a market. This is where you sell your products, your services, your hardware, your software, whatever it is that you have. And in that conference, we have invited speakers who are going to show you that where we are now, once upon a time, was a small or micro small company. And therefore, it's a place where people will be encouraged. It's a place where people will be incubated. But also, we are bringing in big financiers. As by yesterday, we had confirmed some of the biggest banks in the Middle East, from Kuwait, from Qatar, from the United Arab Emirates, from Brunei, and some big names are coming. So they are looking at how do we support. Now, it is important that I capture this before I lose it. We also intend to create, for the first time, a special purpose vehicle that is going to drive the non-aligned G77 business initiatives. So for the first time, we are going to say from now onwards, we shall have business summits, economic summits, we shall have chapters, and we want to see how this framework will grow in the context of creating a home for a NAM or G77 business summit that will be, number one, done alongside the summits wherever they will take place, but two, even independent of the summits of the politicians, we are going to have this business thinking, this movement. Now, whether we call it a business council or a business SPV is really in name. That's nomenclature. The most important thing is that can we now start to get our businesses to think global, to act local, but to say, as the politics grows, let the economics grow. Why is there conflict in the world, Robert? Most of the conflict is brought about by poverty, by lack of resources, by lack of access to resources. No markets. People are flying to the north, dying in the sea because they are looking for jobs. Yet that investment can come here, empower people, people become wealthy, and actually live independent of having to go to those places. So those are the discussions we want to tell the politicians that, guys, look, fix the economics. This politics will go, or to a great extent. Things to do with environment. You've seen all these COPs and stuff. A lot of it is about failure to support the local economics. People are cutting trees because they don't have money for firewood. But now we are talking of smart energy. Solar. Uganda has 12 hours of solar power. So some of those companies are coming here. And they are saying, guys, don't cut those trees. We have smart energy that we can. Uganda has excess electricity. How do we deploy it effectively to be able to bring production in Uganda without having to burn coal or nuclear power, etc., etc. So those are the things that are going to dominate from a business perspective at the summit.
Well, just to remind you, my viewer, that you can be part of the topic of discussion this morning by simply using the number on your screen. Send us a WhatsApp message or a text message, and my guest will be responding to these. We are looking at that is the exhibition organized by Private Sector Foundation, Uganda, alongside government, that will be running from Monday at the Serena Hotel in Kampala. Now, this is an opportunity, like my guest said, for you people in the business sector, private sector, to come and showcase what you have, but also so much to learn there. And remember, learning never ends. And we still have a challenge that many of our businesses, more so the SMEs, do not last long. And that is a challenge the private sector still has. That many businesses open up in Uganda, but longevity becomes a problem. If you look at a report every year, if you have statistics, how many businesses open, how many make their first birthday, the statistics are not very interesting, my brother. So why not come and listen to great people who have made it and how their journey has been. But send me a message on that now. Please do not call. Don't call this line. It is simply for either a text message or a WhatsApp message. That is what we can respond to, but not your calls. Well, yes, they are thanking you. Someone, is Tom, says, thank you so much for organizing such. My only concern is, how does one get to participate?
Participation is very simple. We have provided a website, a link on our Private Sector Foundation. So just go to psfu.org.ug or Google PSFU, and then on the homepage there will be a link which is showing the East Africa Business Summit and Forum and Exhibition, and then you can click there. But we've also provided a number just in case you don't go through, because some people have been getting difficulty, more from their side, not on our side, on how they can access the some of the protocols, like logging in, and the thing keeps bouncing back. You just call our number, which is provided for on the website, and our people will get you. Now, I need to probably caution the public that we have a cutoff. There's a limit to which we can do it. So early bird is important, that people actually log on quickly and get registered, because after that we have capacity issues. Secondly, we've been advised by government and largely security that the Serena from the hotel side will be hosting heads of state. So therefore, access to that area might be a bit restricted. So we have a cap on both the participation, but also on the exhibition, because we can't have more than the hotel can carry. So just go there, log on. But if you can't, we shall be having live coverage, and I think UBC is going to participate in this activity. But thereafter, PSFU is the home. We will have gotten all the contacts that will have been available. So post-conference, we intend to get that basket of contacts and use it as a means of continuity. That's why I was talking about, we want to create a home. And we are pitching for the Business Council to be domiciled in Uganda. And for me, that's the more exciting part. The conference is like a wedding. It's the marriage that takes a longer one. So we want that consummation of the business ideas and that framework. And PSFU intends to create that special purpose vehicle for all the businesses. So even if you're not there, watch. But more importantly, become a member of PSFU. And we'll get you linked to all those business opportunities.
Well, my guest has yet another important assignment to be at, so I must let him go. But before I do that, let me just have your parting shot.
So my parting shot is in two forms. One is that I wish all the business people, the private sector, great and fruitful business opportunities in 2024. We have great things that we've planned. We are looking at supporting women businesses. We are entering a youth engagement program. We have one called the Invite, Investment for Industrial Transformation and Employment. And obviously, we intend to grow our footprint across the country. We want to reach many areas of the country. So PSFU is going to be opening offices in the north, in the east, the west, and the broader central part of Uganda. But please come for the conference. If you can't come, please watch UBC live coverage and any other platforms that will be provided. And if you can't make it completely, come and see us after the conference. We'll link you up with other prospects.
Well, thank you so much, Chief Executive Officer, Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Stephen Asiimwe, for your time. And of course, our viewers, more so people in the business community, members of Private Sector Foundation, this is an opportunity that you can't afford to miss, because there is so much. And I know with business people, whenever you meet, cracking deals happens. This exposure, you never know where it can land you to. But also letting the world know what you're doing. Marketing is also another very important tool. See you in the next hour. Ruben will be coming in with sports updates. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
The non-aligned movement played a pivotal role in the decolonization process during the 1960s and 1970s. As former colonies gained independence, the non-aligned movement provided crucial support, both diplomatically and politically, to these newly sovereign nations. The movement's stance against colonialism aligned with aspirations of countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Economic focus. In response to the era of economic globalization, the non-aligned movement has expanded its focus beyond political ideals to advocate for a more equitable international economic order. The movement recognizes the need for economic cooperation and development initiatives that benefit all member states, particularly those in the developing world. Growth. Since its establishment in 1961, with 25 member countries, the non-aligned movement has witnessed consistent growth, now encompassing over 122 nations. This expansion underscores NAM's enduring appeal, attracting a diverse array of countries seeking to maintain a non-aligned stance. Over the decades, the movement has evolved into a global forum, providing smaller and newly independent nations a collective platform on the international stage.